Welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Brandon, and today we are doing gameplay for the slime deck that was previewed earlier this week. You'll notice something's a little different this time around. We're not using Weiss Fight, and there's no Colton. So Colton is going to be slowing down some of his involvement on the channel for just a little while. With that in mind, as we look at gameplay, we still wanted to have gameplay for the decks that we put out. And so the simulator actually has a really fantastic tool that is the AI to be able to play against the computer. So in this case, we're playing against the quintessential quintuplets deck, specifically the 8 Salvage build, with our 8 Salvage build for the slime deck. So there are still a few bugs yet in the AI. It's not fully formed out yet fully, but it is able to effectively still give you an idea of what to do against similar decks. So with that in mind, we are already underway. This game currently, we're still currently at 0, really setting up for that level 1 combo. As you see, I have 3 copies of the level 1 combo already in hand, and realistically 2 climaxes for it, so potentials for just double comboing here are pretty off the scale. I do use the center runner here to be able to step over and to direct in this lane, hoping that on this follow-up turn that potentially if I cancel some damage here, I can get some additional stock off of things. So I cancel in the wrong lane, unfortunately, for the effects to go off, but I do cancel the direct swing. With that in mind, they were able to double combo at 1, which is fairly annoying here. So they're able to plus up. They're pretty decent hand, not fully the spots that necessarily may want to be, but is pretty well ready to go. I'm at this point getting ready to just kind of triple combo on the reverse lane here. With that kind of idea in play, I already have the back row pieces that I need for the combo to get both benefits off of it, to get that kind of choose a trigger and to be able to potentially do that also before the reveal. So for example, I can discard the CX here to, on the reveal the event and add it to hand. So it kind of helps me to guarantee my combo condition, doing it in that order. So but also worth noting that they only had 1 back row piece, which I could remove, but I did remove the Brainstorm, which is one of those pieces that allows them to plus hand. So it's actually a pretty significant negative there for them. They do have their experience condition for their endgame already in play, so for them it's just kind of winning on that swing. They're able to combo yet again on the following turn, despite losing that back row, so they're still able to maintain some kind of hand semblance for the following turn. So they're still at 6 cards in hand. Go Quints. But I'm also at 7 cards in hand. I did lose my entire board. And the annoying part was I did have to refresh the deck here. If I was able to avoid the deck refresh, I probably would have been able to use the event and get 2 combos back into hand that way. So I do end up leveling here, clocking myself a little bit more. I recognize I probably just need to get ready for that end game a little bit more quickly than what I was necessarily hoping for. So I do play down a couple more pieces. I can't play the Milim early because I have 2 of the non-Demon Lord characters in play. Which I could have done other things to make that happen if that was the goal of this turn. But realistically, my goal was to get some of the Shunos on board to potentially plus hand to potentially plus into the resources I need. I have a couple pieces in the waiting room already, which I just was able to pull up into hand, so now I have triple combo for the end game minus the climax. So I've already buried a climax already on this turn, so I'm just kind of like getting ready for that end game, assuming that the Quince deck is able to push that damage needed, which I get an extra turn at 2 here. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I can help get some of these pieces up. I whiff on that because that's the difficulties that you do run with the running more events, but I was able to get the CX into hand. With the Kome, you're normally supposed to be able to discard. For whatever reason, the simulator doesn't have that in play yet. So yes, there should have been a discard off of that Kome as well. So I technically have one extra card in hand that I shouldn't have, but yay, simulators. So I pay this out to pay out the climax. And with that as well, I'm like, okay, what can I do here? Well, I could just swing with what I've got. I could use the event to try to get combo back into play, which is where I end up going here. Because I can just get 2 of my combos, discard the Milim that I don't have the desire to play here, really. Like, as much as it's a nice card, it's not super helpful here. It doesn't heal, so there's no point to go back down. It would be just paying extra stock that I want to kind of save for my end game here. So I'm just going to combo again. And so I do. I am able to just get more pieces back into hand. Notably, I could have gotten the 3rd combo piece back into hand if I had needed to ditch one out, so just for what it's worth, I would still be looking at triple combo for this following turn. I do push them into 3, but I'm not going to stick enough damage here to close them out. So Quince is going to have a turn at 3 here, and I do not like my chances here with these numbers. I am already 7 out with 3 cards left in deck. So it's like, we'll see what happens on this refresh. Notably, they don't have the climax. I could have canceled at least 2 more attacks with that direct without any additional like removal tools. So it would have been interesting. It would have been a lot closer, I think, than where this part was. But here I'm able to then triple combo on the backswing, and I'm able to close out the game before even completing the turn. So it's definitely a good tool to help make sure your deck does what it needs to do, right? Having this AI kind of simulator, you don't necessarily need a person in play to be able to do it. But again, it's also an AI, right? You can take advantage of the system, right? They weren't able to, the AI wasn't able to climax combo at the end. A more confident person probably could have gotten there, right? Absolutely. But being able to kind of showcase that your deck can do what it needs to do, it makes a really nice tool for deck testing and for deck building. So that way when you are playing through your deck and like, hey, does my deck do what it needs to do? You can kind of test against the AI and get generic ideas of what damage cross turn looks like. So that way you can kind of know, hey, this is what my deck can do, or hey, this is what my deck needs to be able to do against these other players. So being able to play up against even things like 8 Salvage Quince, even from an AI, I think has some kind of benefit too. So with that in mind, that's been the deck. I think it's a fun deck. I think it has some really interesting tools. One of the things I was trying to highlight with this kind of matchup was that it can remove those back row pieces that it add additional cards to hand and give Quince a lot of advantage. Being able to kind of remove those from the field does make Quince actually suffer pretty bad here, because they're not able to hold as many cards on the cross turns if they're not able to replenish those in the back row. So it kind of forces them to use up cards more often, making those end games a little bit less explosive, allowing you to kind of close the game from there. So being able to take advantage of those kind of negs in those kind of different matchups makes this deck really worthwhile. With that in mind, that's been the deck. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube thing, and until next time, have a good one.